I don't think we should inquire of the jurors as to information that they've acquired about a completely different subject.
Do you see any harm in doing it?
Well, Your Honor, we could ask the jurors all kinds of questions about all kinds of stuff they read.
Right, but the request is about this specific issue. So is there a harm in asking about this specific issue?
It's not about this specific case. It's about a specific issue in a different case that I don't see how it has any logical connection to the job that the jurors are going to do in this case. What happens to another? So does that mean every time there's a death penalty sentence in any case in the United States, well, this case is pending, if it's in Texas or Arkansas or some other place, and it makes the newspaper, now that we should inquire of the jurors as to whether they've read it. If something else happens in another county, if there's an attack somewhere, do we now inquire of the jurors as to whether they've heard about it? The important thing to know about the jurors is what they hear about this case, not what they hear about other cases. So I see absolutely no reason to do it, and so that's, I guess, my answer to your question, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nelson, can you go back to the podium, please? Ms. Nelson, arguably, by asking this, I'm calling their attention to it even more. So knowing that, you're still asking me to ask about this. Is that correct?
Yes, we understand that, Your Honor, and we considered that, but we think that in light of the possible prejudice, which is all we have to show under Harper, it's appropriate for the court to conduct just a very general inquiry of the jury, whether they have had any exposure to the coverage in that case, yes.
And you want me to specifically reference the Boston Marathon trial, correct?
Yes, correct.
And what if I just say generally there were some news, there was some coverage of the Boston Marathon trial in the news this weekend. Is there anything in the news that anyone was exposed to that affects their ability to be fair and impartial? Are you okay with that kind of inquiry?
May I have a moment, Your Honor? Your Honor, our position is that the court, we're fine with the court just asking a general question, not mentioning the death verdict in that case, but just asking whether, generally, whether any juror has had exposure to the coverage and leaving it at that. And then if people respond affirmatively, following up individually about what they've been exposed to, and then at that point inquiring whether anything they've been exposed to has affected their ability to be fair and impartial.
I'm not inclined to ask about whether anyone has had exposure. I think that the question that I propose covers that. So if people have not had exposure, then obviously they would not be prejudiced by anything related to it. If people have had exposure, then the question is that going to, does that affect their ability to be a fair and impartial juror in this trial? So I think it covers people who have had exposure and people who have not. So